to 3 hours.
Okay.
And we're live. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening. I just want to make a brief announcement. It appears that on February 27th, Lawrence Township celebrated its 327th birthday. And about it, we did not have cake, but we will be looking forward to cake in the future. So I just wanted to celebrate our town and recognize all of the years that we've been in existence. So with that, I'll read the proper notice. Adequate notice of this meeting of Lawrence Township Council being held on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, has been provided through the posting of the annual meeting schedule of said council in accordance with Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act. Said notice was forwarded to the Trentonian, the Times, and the Princeton Packet on December 11th, 2023. Madam Clerk, if we could now have our inspiration.
May we carry out our work at this meeting in a just, honorable, and sincere manner, always bearing in mind our duties in continuing to keep Lawrence a wonderful community in which to live.
Now for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Here.
Mr. Kanaki?
Here.
Ms. Perry? Here. Mayor Ryan? Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mayor Farman?
Here. Okay. We're making just one slight adjustment to our schedule for special presentations this evening. We're asking for the presentation of the Elsa Notice of Sewer Connection by Mr. Robert Filler, who is the Executive Director. We'll go in advance of the Department Head presentation for the budget, Mr. Oakley, Emergency Management Coordinator. So, Mr. Filler, if you would please come forward. And if you could just sign into the record for us, please.
I can do what?
Sign your name. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. That starts this one.
And you like me where? Here?
Oh, if you'll be at the podium for us, please. Yeah,
Podium.
so we can hear you.
My name is Bob Filler.
Thank you.
I am Director of the Ewing
Into
Lawrence
the-
Storage Authority.
I'm sorry, we can go into the mic here.
My name is Bob Filler, Director of the Ewing Lawrence Storage Authority. We'll start out by saying that, as we all know, wastewater comes to Elsa. In the wastewater is ammonia. We, during processing, take the ammonia and it becomes a nitrite, then it becomes a nitrate. We discharge the nitrate. We have been dealing with the discharge of nitrate for probably the last 30 to 40 years. When I say dealing with it, monitoring it, measuring it, discussing the concentration with the DEP. In 2009, the DEP decided to include the concentration of the nitrate discharged into the Assapeque Creek. And at the same time, they put a limit. They gave what they call a stay, which is a hold. In other words, we continue to monitor, measure, but we were not bound to that. 14 years later, the commissioner decided to remove the study. Now, I'll put my glasses on. As you know, the Ewing Lawrence Storage Authority, Elsa, is a source service provider for Ewing Lawrence and portions of Hopewell Townships. Elsa Board of Directors were compelled by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection regulations and the actions of the DEP to adopt a resolution imposing a sewer connection ban. And we adopted the resolution January 16th, and I believe January 26th, we had mailed it out to the townships that we serve, which is Ewing, Lawrence, and Hopewell Township. What I'd like to do at this moment is make it a little easier, for me particularly, is I'm going to introduce the environmental attorneys that have been working with Elsa and the nitrate limitation. And that's George Tyler behind me, and Matt Chris. And I'll turn over to you.
All right.
When we're done, if there are questions, more than happy.
Mayor, Matt, for the record,
Yeah.
that we had asked Mr. Phillip to come before council because of the connection ban. And this is why you're here.
Thanks. As Bob said, my name is George Tyler. The firm is Tyler, Avasano and Krantz. We're located in Robbinsville. We've been in business there since the year 2000. And one of the primary focuses of our practice is environmental law, as Bob indicated. As Bob also indicated, the effluent limit that triggered the sewer ban has been in effect since the year 2000. And Elsa has been litigating that issue with DEP for that entire time. However, for the first 14 years, DEP granted an administrative stay of that limit. And they did so based on the fact that there was no harm to the environment or the public health while the issue was being resolved. After the 2018 permit was issued, the matter proceeded into the Office of Administrative Law. DEP became very aggressive in the 2017, 2018. They became very aggressive in that process and pursued the hearing with a motion for summary disposition. The administrative law judge that heard the case granted that motion, although she found that it was a problem in search of it was a solution in search of a problem. And she agreed with our arguments that the situation defied common sense. But DEP argued in the hearing that the law gave them no choice and gave the administrative law judge no choice. So she ruled against us. That decision went to the commissioner, he sustained it, and we are now before the appellate division challenging that decision. The big difference in the last year is that in February, as Bob indicated, the commissioner lifted the stay that had been in effect, although the conditions haven't changed. One thing I'd like to point out before we're accused of being terrible polluters is that the Elsa discharges into the lowest reach of the Assunpink Creek. The nitrate limit is established solely to protect human health, and there are no potable water intakes in that portion of the Assunpink Creek. In fact, in the hearing, there's an affidavit submitted by the DEP chief of permitting of surface water discharges that indicates there's no possibility of a potable water intake there. The department's position at that point was, we don't have a choice. Our argument to the appellate division is, yes, you do. Under the regulations governing discharges in New Jersey, the department can find that the designated use of a drinkable water body is inappropriate, we think based on their own findings, they should have done that. In any case, under the regulations, once the stay was lifted, Elsa had no choice but to impose a sewer connection ban. And that's what is now facing Ewing, Lawrence, as well as portions of Hopewell. You're not in this alone. We are arguing the same case with the Sussex County Municipal Utilities Authority. They've been involved basically side by side with us and are in the appellate division at the same time. There are at least 3 other authorities facing similar situations right now. Western Monmouth Utility Authority, Pequannock, and I think Stony Brook is also facing a similar situation, although they're at different points in the litigation process. So the sewer ban is only in effect right now, Ewing, Lawrence, and Hopewell. We've got one more application. We've tried twice to have the commissioner recognize that there's no public health problem, as at least 3 of his predecessors did, by the way, and lift the ban or allow us to lift the ban by granting a stay, where we were denied twice, and the 3rd application is now back before the commissioner. We've made a new argument based on the affordable housing issues. Several developers with large affordable housing components in their projects have come to Elsa. Mr. Filler was able to, in one case, convince DEP to grant what's called the treatment works approval to widen the pipe anyway, despite the fact that we can't certify that we're in compliance without the stay in effect. So I'm sorry if I got down in the weeds a little too much or too technical. And Matt's here to answer all your questions that I can't. Just kidding. If there are any questions, that's where we are now. I guess I should add, developers or property owners who meet certain conditions can get an exemption from the ban, but they're very stringent and very limited.
And we have submitted 2 exemptions so far.
Come to the mic, please.
Sorry, okay. So moved, Karen. We have submitted 2 exemptions so far, and I have signed 2 more today, which means we will have 4 within a week or so with the DEP. The question is, how long are they going to sit in on them? They are single-family homes. They are simple exemptions, and they do fit. We have to, and also we review the application for exemption first, and upon seeing that it meets the statute requirements, we then submit it to the DEP to get their approval. It's like another layer. And we have other projects that we are getting ready to address, multi-family, low and moderate income housing projects within our own townships, Ewing and Lawrence. And, we will go through them, we will submit them. And hopefully it doesn't take a long time for the DEP to act on it. It should, but who knows? In addition, and some of you know me well, I like to talk, and I promise you I will not hold you up, I'll work here. March 22nd, we are going to be meeting with the DEP, and we are going to be, number 1 is remove the ban. Number 2, there was discussion when Shirley Turner met with the commissioner that they would help us with respect to the IBank, the lending, the state of New Jersey. I like low interest rates, but I also like grants, and I'm going to be asking for them, as well as time to examine alternative routes to reduce the nitrate concentration. we're going to see what they have to say. And so it's two prongs. One, we're doing with the courts, and two, we're discussing with, if the courts do not see our way, then we'll see what we can do to get relief for our township and to accommodate this reduction of the nitrate concentration. And now we'll stop and back away.
And I probably should have added, the reason for the fuss, if you will, is that the nitrates are very difficult to control, especially in our situation where it's unnecessary. And the estimated cost we have from the consultants for the controls is $18 million just for the capital. And then there's a very high operating cost, high electrical consumption each year to run them. So that's the reason we've been litigating. Again, I can't stress enough, or everyone agrees, that there's no potable water intake possible in this portion of the creek. And we just need the department to, I'd say, come to their senses over it, to be blunt.
Okay. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your presentation. I'll now look to council. Are there any questions?
I have a question, if that's all right.
Councilman Butler, yes.
Thanks, Mayor. I guess my first question is, how far out of compliance is Elsa with the DEP regulations? Is it a lot? Is it a little? Is it, and has it been ongoing at a certain base level? I'm trying to understand how it's been. I don't know if it's 2000, 2009 when this first started, sort of the being out of compliance with the regulations.
I would defer to Matt, who's looked at more of the data than I have. But as I recall, we were discharging at a level of 14 or 15 parts per million.
Yeah.
And the standard that DEP set in the stream is 10 parts per million. So it's not a gross violation, but it's a violation.
And in fact, there's been a month or two, even since the commissioner's decision, where we have been in compliance, but it's not consistent. This limit has only been in effect since really February, so going back further than that, there was no limit at the time.
And then my sort of follow-up is are there regulations that sort of look at a cumulative effect of sort of nitrates in the water in terms of, whether because the Aspen doesn't just stop in Trenton, it goes into the Delaware River and then
That's a good
flows
question.
downstream
Yes.
to other municipalities who may be drawing from water. I mean,
So you've touched on an issue that's very contentious in the litigation. DEP originally set the standard and indicated a belief that we were discharging upstream of the Trenton surface water intake for potable water. When we corrected that, there was a scramble for the facts. And then they indicated, well, we found a Delran, New Jersey potable water intake. It's 22 miles downriver. The only testimony about it in the hearing was from our expert, who said you can't measure it once it hits the Delaware, it's gone. The DEP has permitted about a dozen other municipalities going in that 22-mile stretch, and none of those permits have a nitrate limit. They didn't think about Delran until we corrected the record with respect to Trenton. So I think right now we're faced with a department staff that's looking to win the case more than to do the right thing. I'm not going to pull any punches, I'm pretty
doesn't
frank.
sound like it.
And I don't think it's the kind of pollutant that, it's not like a metal like copper or nickel where you can get accumulation in the settlement. It dissipates in Delaware.
And Mayor, I just wanted to add that I appreciate Mr. Filler's testimony about sort of looking at the alternative, right? That if DEP is sort of hesitant in granting the stay.
We're getting positive feedback from the DEP that we're open.
Use them at the microphone.
And if I could continue.
I'm an old school teacher, so.
Yeah, I know it's deleted for the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The DEP is receptive to these conversations. And when I start asking not for reduced interest rates, when I start asking for dollars behind, grant, not to help. And the number that we have for treatment on an annual basis is in the area of $4 million. So after you get done spending 18 million in capital, that's about a million a year in debt service. And you've got close to 4 million in operating costs. What we're talking about, and not that we should do anything but discharge the cleanest water that we can. Our entire plant is based on making nitrates. I mean, that's our process. Taking ammonia and turning them into nitrates. That's not, obviously, it's not acceptable today, but if I send you an annual charge with a 35 to 40% increase, but I promise you that it's not going to make life better, you're going to say, Bob, what are you doing there? And that's the issue that we're dealing with and why we have been. And although it got heavy in 2009, this is going on for more than 40 years now. There was a time that the DEP actually was going to make us an exception. And we thought we put this almost to bed. And then we had a 180. And instead of being an exception, of course, it took 14 years to remove the stay, as long as it wasn't painful when the stay was in place. But the stay was removed a few months ago, and it's now.
And now you're here.
And now I'm here, but I want to tell you, at the same time, we very seriously take the exemptions. And it's painful, another layer, it costs time and money to the people that are trying to expand, et cetera, improve our communities. But the reality is, hopefully, it's still going to move forward. But we're not sitting and waiting, as you know.
Yeah, and Mayor, I just want to finish by saying thank you for hearing for bringing up the two-pronged approach, because my concern was before, when we got the letter for the sewer ban, that it just felt as if, and sort of looking at old agendas from Elsa, meeting minutes and things like that, that it seemed as if it was just you were taking the litigious route and not sort of working hand in hand with how do we work with DEP to addressing the issue. Because at the end of the day, the body here and the people out there would love to see proper development in this town, rejuvenation, renovation, things like that, so.
Okay. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming before us today. And we'll
guess my time's
look
up.
to have some more information after the March 22nd meeting with the DEP. So thank you.
Kevin has a
Oh, I'm
question.
sorry.
I just have one quick question. The appeal is before which court?
It's before the Superior Court of Appellate Division. They indicated that we should have our argument probably in April. And then it's up to the court how fast they decide it. There's no fixed time frame. But most likely by June, we should hear.
That's all the discovery's been exchanged, all that.
Well, yeah, we had a hearing with all of that at the Office of Administrative Law, and now it's simply just, it's all been briefed, everything's done. We're just waiting for the argument. at this point.
Okay, great, thank you.
Again, thank you for coming before us.
And thank you for moving this up.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's not more.
Okay, now we'll moving on right with our agenda for the 2024 Department Head Budget Presentation by Mr. Jack Oakley, Emergency Management Coordinator.
Easy reading later on.
Thank you, sir.
very much. That's really
Mr. Fuller left already.
Yes.
The deal was that if he went before me and I yielded my time to him first, 20% discount on my store bill.
Nice
Good
try.
luck, is right.
Nice try.
Good evening, Mayor Farmer, members of council, Manager Nowinski, Mr. Seidbeck, and Clerk Carter. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you regarding the emergency services budget for 2024. I also want to thank you for being understanding about me not being at the last meeting. I was not feeling well, and there was no way that I was going to be able to cover a 2.5-hour presentation feeling the way I did tonight. I hope that,
Shut the lights out.
yeah, you may have to take a break if you can. I want to address the different divisions within the emergency services operation. And first, I'd like to start off with the fire division and an overall comment about where we're at as emergency services today. We still find ourselves dealing with the ever-changing conditions and outbreaks of COVID-19 variables. The variants have posed challenges to us when servicing clients who require emergency medical and fire protection. Transports to hospitals at times that are overcrowded, continual decontamination of our equipment and personnel, and of course, dealing with our members of service who fall victim to the virus present unprecedented levels of work and commitment. Thanks to the continued support from the manager, CFO, and you, the members of council, we are continuing to offer first-rate emergency responses to our customers, citizens of Lawrence Township. I want to address the fire division first. We have 6 career firefighters as of the beginning of 2023. We had 2 units that were deployed, one down south in Station 201, which is the Slackwood Fire Company, that was the ladder crew, and then one up north, which was Rescue 20 at the Lawrenceville Fire Company, Station 203. They work from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. As of December 11th, as we know, we put an additional 3 members into the fire service. So we were able to put up another unit, a telesquare unit at Station 203. And now we have 2 units that ride out of the Lawrenceville station and one that rides out of the Slackwood station. So it gave us an opportunity to expand our coverage in the township, maybe not by hours just yet, because that's something that we're working towards, but it gave us that opportunity to be able to get more equipment on the road quicker to handle the calls that we go on. In addition to responding to all the emergencies in the township, hold on one second. It's like a horror movie. In addition to responding to all the emergencies in the township requiring a fire department response, firefighters' duties include regular running and inspecting of fire apparatus, exercising the pumps and the aerial ladders, exercising and refueling powered equipment such as fans, saws, and rescue tools, maintaining our breathing apparatus, and mounting equipment and hose on the apparatus and making minor repairs as they go along. As part of their role in responding to medical emergencies, the career firefighters are individually trained and certified as emergency medical technicians and first responders, which gives our assistance to the EMS staff. This is a very important part of the fire division's operations. This is the education of young people in schools and preschools that come to the fire station and for the first time meet firefighters in a controlled atmosphere. During 2023, the career staff conducted fire safety presentations to nearly 600 students from Eldridge Park, Slackwood, the Chapin School, and numerous daycare facilities throughout the township. We are very proud of those presentations, and we look forward to doing those as well. It might seem a little bit of a problem with younger kids when they come and they get all excited about looking at the fire trucks and the firefighters. But what we want to do is we want to present the firefighters as you would see them in an emergency. And that's why they dress up in that gear in front of the kids. They want them to see, these are the people that are coming to assist you. These are the people that are coming to help. And want to put them a little bit more at ease that these are the people you want to navigate towards if there's a problem. There are also safety town demonstrations that we do in conjunction with the police division. And we have 3 career firefighters, and I think we have now 3 EMS staff as well, that are certified passenger safety technicians. Those are car seat installers. This is another great program that we have. Expectant parents can come and meet, and they can learn how to install a car seat in their vehicles the proper way. So these technicians show the people how to do it. We don't want to actually mount the equipment in the car, but we show them how to do it. Of course, we give them a hand once we get it in. Of course, when they buy a new car, who shows back up at the firehouse? But the parents, which we're happy to help them. Our request for car seat installs is a little bit down. It hasn't gotten up since pre-COVID, but they did it, I think, 15 as of November 30th last year. Calls for service. This is where we get down into the nitty-gritty stuff. We haven't really we haven't seen an increase again since pre-COVID, but the total amount of calls seems to be consistent in the past couple of years. So if you look at 2020, 2021, and 2022, they're fairly online. We had in 2023, as of putting this program together, we had 1,120 calls. So we were kind of like on target again to meet that consistent number of the 1,200s. It's a breakdown of the responses by stations. You see the career staff at Station 20. Station 201 is the Slackwood Fire Company. Station 202 is the Lawrence Road Fire Company. And Station 203 is the Lawrenceville Fire Company. Since we consolidated and we became a department, these are now not individual fire companies, but stations, part of the Lawrence Township Fire Department. So this is an all-inclusive response. You see that as of the 2023 data that we have, there was 1,120 incidents as I reported, and this is the breakdown of who responded and how they responded to those particular incidents. Some notable responses that we had throughout the year. This was a motor vehicle accident on Interstate 295, where we worked with the Hamilton Township Fire Department to extricate a person from that vehicle. This is a notorious spot on Interstate 295. It's 295 southbound, just before the Hamilton border. It appears that in inclement weather, as the cars come around and over top of the overpass past Route 1, they hydroplane, probably because of the excessive speed, and then they end up flipping over and going into the woods. This particular accident was the 3rd one we had in about a week and a half, almost in the same exact spot. The infamous tornado. February 21st, we had an EF2 touchdown at Lawrence Square Village. As part of our response, we had to go and go through the complex where there were many, many downed trees and some of the damaged buildings. It was remarkable that we didn't have one injury suffered by anybody that was there. I was about less than 5 minutes away from it when the call came in to respond. And when I pulled into it, it looked like something that happened in a war zone. Trees toppled down in front of buildings, on top of cars, partial roofs that were ripped off. How somebody wasn't injured or even killed in this is a godsend. It really is. And the career staff was committed, as well as the volunteers, to do that search and rescue mission, is what we call it. We had to search individually throughout the whole entire complex that was affected by this to make sure that there were no people that were either injured or trapped. This was an accident on Interstate 295 again, where a couple of dump trucks collided and spread their material across the road, closing the complete road down. This, we were in service here for a couple hours trying to get this cleaned up, but it's just another example of the responses that we have in the township because of the interstate highways. This is the old junior high school #1 fire, which happened in the daytime in Trenton. The career staff and the volunteers responded mutual aid to this call. Trenton asked for help, and we responded down there to help. The building was completely destroyed by the fire, and the career staff with the tower ladder that they had at the time was in service for 4 hours at that fire. We exchange mutual aid with our surrounding communities. That's how we operate. We make sure that we go to help them when they call, they come to us when we call. This was a major fire. If you're familiar with this location, it's on Whitehead Road. It's the old good old rubber factory. It came in a little bit before 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess, on maybe 18th. This was a very, very difficult fire. Spent a lot of hours there, but it was responded to by the volunteer staff. The volunteers, one piece of apparatus that they manned, put in 10 hours at that fire scene. The other piece of apparatus that came from Lawrence Township was there for almost 17 hours. So when you're talking about volunteers that commit, the volunteers that commit their time, this is why it's so difficult to get people, because people don't have that kind of time to donate, to dedicate to things like this. And this was a major, major operation that took place. There was a major fatal accident that occurred almost a year down the road, where we had a young student that was killed on Route 1. This was a rapid response by us. We got there, we were able to extricate the victim, get to the victim, and there was one thing that was bothersome to us when we pulled up. There was a car seat in the back of the car. With the amount of damage that was there, that we saw with the vehicles, we weren't sure if there was actually a child in the car. So the rescue crews went to work and cut components out from the car to make sure that they could get in there to check, to make sure that there wasn't an infant in the car. And you got to think that the victim was still there, and also these guys had to operate in that kind of an atmosphere. Another couple jobs that we went on, Ewing Township, and there was a fire on October 13th, and we spent a few hours in that one too. Across the street, Birdie Way. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. This was a tar truck fire, a tack truck. It caught fire basically right across from the municipal building here, is where it was. It was fully engulfed in fire. There was an injury. One of the guys that was driving the truck realized that his wallet was still in the truck, and he tried to run back into the truck to get the wallet. Well, needless to say, he took a lot of smoke. He went down, our EMS personnel attended to him, but this is the amount of damage that was done to 6 adjacent homes. 6 adjacent homes from where this truck was burning, this tack oil truck, were damaged, outside siding, things along those lines. Our career staff responded in 4 minutes and got on the scene. So in 4 minutes, 6 houses were still damaged, and we were there fighting the fire. When we talk about response times a little bit later on and getting to scenes quickly to try and mitigate circumstances, this is what we're talking about. So the houses were saved, they were damaged, but if we didn't have such a quick response, it would have been a lot worse. Some different things that the career and volunteer staff did. They did some live burn training. We require live burn training every year from our fire staff, and they have to do fit testing to wear the SCBAs. So we did those in April and May. We sent a couple of firefighters to a fire service leadership program called At the Point of the Spear. It was sponsored by the Trenton Fire Department. So like a mid-level supervisor's class. These people are going to be the ones that are going to be coming up in the fire service, so we're trying to prepare them, give them an idea of what supervision is all about. Some more training that they did. You can see the names that are up there, the people that are the car seat installers. And we also had a combination training in advanced vehicle extrication. As you know, we just showed you a couple pictures of the different accidents that we were on, and we did that in conjunction with the volunteer staff. So each entity, each discipline knows how the other operates. So we're trying to formulate that working together format, and it seems to be a very successful thing. I'm going to show this video real quick with my trusty IT man right here.
The life of a deadly fire has begun.
This scenario occurs in millions of homes every year around the world.
Okay, we have flames just coming up the back of the sofa. Might be from a cigarette that was left there for a few hours, or a little kid playing with a lighter and giving it a little ignition.
At this stage, the small flame is relatively harmless. To grow,
The important thing to look at here and to remember is the time that's
as
on the
it
bottom
burns,
left
the
right
heat
there.
it produces decomposes chemicals in its wood and synthetic material. Rising is a complex concoction of flammable gases. They combine with oxygen in the room to produce a dazzling chemical reaction, flames. As the flames radiate heat downward onto the sofa, more and more fuel is consumed. As this deadly cycle repeats itself, the fire grows with frightening speed.
Okay, we had 2 smoke detectors in the hallway that were getting activated.
Early warning devices, smoke detectors. Can't impress that enough to the public. Smoke detectors to save lives.
Smoke building up against the ceiling. That's hot gas. It's trapped there by the ceiling.
Experiments like this have led scientists to a simple but alarming discovery.
The hot gases in the smoke level that you see at the top, you see that really dark black smoke. That is the vicious killer right there. Carbon monoxide is embedded in that smoke. The byproducts of combustion that are in there generate temperatures that are unbelievable. Probably at the ceiling level right now, they're going to have about 200 degrees at the ceiling level, which doesn't seem like a lot. That's why firefighters stay low to the ground. That's why they crawl into a room or a building, because they get below that heat level, because standing up, it's untenable. You can't do it. There's no way. So at 200 degrees right now, and we're superheating the air above this fire, you're going to see how it progresses.
Fires are changing. 107 seconds into the burn, this fire is much hotter than it would have been 20 years ago. The reason? Modern furnishings ignite more easily and burn faster than traditional products like wool and timber.
We can see the radiation from the fire just on the sofa starting to affect other objects in the room. They're smoking, they're pyrolyzing, they're giving off additional fuel. That's additional fuel that's going up into that hot layer that's going to burn.
In the 1950s, the average apartment fire took more than 15 minutes to peak at around 1400 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, they can hit a staggering 2000 degrees. In a little over 150 seconds, this test fire grew from a harmless flame to a raging inferno. The heat and energy it released destroyed the apartment in less than 3 minutes.
This is why we stress escape plans. This is why we want families to practice. This is why we want to get to scenes quicker. If you noticed in the beginning of the video, the incipient stages of a fire, most times the fires aren't reported at that point. The fires get reported much later. 3 minutes later, and you saw the amount of damage that you had and the amount of fire that was there. Most times, fire department hasn't even been notified yet. So that fire has an advancement that far down the road before the fire department even gets notified to come. That's a challenge. That's a major challenge. This is Christmas Eve morning, 299 Fontaine Lane. I stood up here for the past couple of years and told the council, told everybody in the audience that Lawrence Township doesn't see that many working fires. Not many. We've had 4 in the past 6 weeks. So it happens. It does happen. It's just cyclic, but that's what happens. This is approximately 12, 13 minutes into the fire. And you can see where the roof is already collapsed. Things have already taken place. Can we back that up real quick, just a little bit? You see the whole hose lines in the street. I want you to pay attention as you look towards the top part of the screen where those flames are coming out in front. You're going to see a grayish, whitish cloud that's going to come out. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. There it is right there, that grayish white cloud. That's firefighters in that situation, in that building, utilizing water to try and control that fire. That's what they're doing. That's the job that they do. As a person that stands outside and puts people's lives at risk, the firefighters, both the men and women that comprise our organization, that's a big burden. That's tough. I'm not gonna do that haphazardly. And I know that the rest of the staff right here that I'm gonna introduce in a minute wouldn't do it either. But that's the fight that we do on a regular basis. You notice our mutual aid plan. Hamilton Fire Company is in front of the building. They responded automatically when we called for them to this scene to give us assistance. And it was Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, and we still had a turnout from the volunteer staff. This is the next one. This is 6 Humphreys Drive in on the grounds of the prep school. Midday fire started in this back room right here. Eventually, because of the age of the home and the construction, this thing progressed to a point where there was a roof collapse. We had to evacuate the personnel from inside because it just got too unbearable with the amount of heat and fire that was inside. So we had to evacuate them and go to what they call a defensive operation outside, using aerial ladders in order to control this fire. This is how we dress for war. This is the ensembles that the firefighters wear. This is the equipment that we provide to them. The ensembles that you're looking at right now, the turnout gear, the coat, the pants, the boots, the gloves, the hood that they wear, cost somewhere in the general area about $5,000 to $6,000. The SCBAs on their back, that's their lifeline. That's how they breathe inside the fires because of the smoke and the areas that they go into. $8,000. The portable radios that they carry on their body to communicate to the incident command people that are outside, those go for about $4,000 to $5,000. So you're looking at a complete ensemble to outfit somebody somewhere approaching $20,000. $20,000 to outfit one of these guys. Okay? Now, the problem is we can't buy gear and put it on a shelf and give it to somebody. Because as you can see, Captain Juarez in the middle is definitely not the same size as Captain Negron over here to his side. So he's not going to fit in each other's gear. We have to purchase the gear for the firefighter. That's what we have to do. And that becomes a very expensive operation. However, I will give you good news right now that we were just notified of late this afternoon. Brenda Kramer, who filed a grant on behalf of us with the statistical information that we gave her under the American Rescue Plan. We just got a $75,000 grant to purchase equipment.
Yeah.
That's going to definitely get us some more sets of gear to be able to help these guys, along with the capital that we're asking for. Okay, folks, it was good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of information about the volunteer staff. They still continue to contribute. There's a small core of them that are involved. We find that it's very slow to beef their ranks. Last year, I think we had 5 applications that we processed for volunteers. But you have to realize that you see what kind of atmosphere that these men and women go into. There's mandatory training that they have to take. There's drills that they have to attend. So there's a lot of things, 1,200 calls in a year that you have to summon people out of their houses to come at all different times of the day and night. So sometimes we find ourselves not being able to answer a call in in the amount of time that's necessary. You know, we sometimes don't get out to answer a call after hours for 5, 10, 15 minutes. That's not acceptable. So that's why we try to get the volunteers more involved after hours and try to give them incentives. And we put in a volunteer incentive program, which we supplement the volunteers based on their responses to the fire calls to put gas in their vehicles, to buy clothes or clean clothes that they dirtied up either in a drill or a fire. Last year, we spent slightly over $38,000 for this volunteer incentive program. We have duty nights where the volunteer staff of 4 people go on duty at 10 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning. They don't have to stay at the fire station, but they're required to respond to the call. We pay them $50 for that. Now, you may sit at home one night and, you know, make $50 because nothing really happens. But then there's other nights where you're out 3, 4, 5 times going on a call. So it washes out in the end. Just some more statistical information, some data about the fire department responses. One of the things I wanted to point out, if you see building 111, building fires, you'll notice that it's 15 building fires. Now that might not be 15 building fires in Lawrence Township, but 15 fires that we responded to either mutual aid wise or here in town as well. That was last year in 2023. Also, under 311, you'll see medical assist or assisted EMS crew, 168 calls. Our EMS crew works which we'll talk about just in a couple of minutes, but they work a 12-hour shift. They work a fitness schedule. There's a day and a night crew. They work 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have 1 ambulance on, and then sometimes we put a second ambulance on, depending on availability, to answer calls as a backup to the duty crew. When the ambulance is tied up, we put our career staff to respond to emergency medical calls. A fire truck pulling up in front of somebody's house who's having a heart attack seems crazy. Seems crazy. Nobody would ever think about it. But that's where the fire service is nowadays. The fire service is lending a hand to make sure that people are attended to and safe, even though other mutual aid EMS units will be coming in to try and help. Our firefighters get there and they administer aid. They evaluate the people, they'll give them oxygen, they'll do things like that. So they go on cardiac arrest. Any cardiac arrest that we have here in the township, our career staff goes on. So they're in the trenches with the EMS crew. And I think that since we did the reorganization and we have everybody under one umbrella, works so much more seamlessly. Little pie chart. I know Peter likes these pie charts. He likes Our emergency medical division. As I told you, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we have an EMS crew on. 1 rig, 2 EMTs. They provide basic life support. They're not paramedics. They can't administer drugs, but they do basic life support and they respond to all types of incidents. We have a chief and we have 10 full-time staff members, total of 11. We have about 18 per diems that fill in when the career staff is off. As of December 12th of last year, when we put the program together, we responded to 3,647 EMS calls. Of those 3,647 calls, we transported 2,289 people to secondary medical institutes for more advanced medical treatment. You can do the math on that for a day. 365 days in a year, that's a busy schedule. That's a very busy schedule for these guys, and they do it day in and day out. The second ambulance, we did a little statistical information about the second ambulance. Since we had it in place, they've answered about 300 calls as a secondary. So those 300 calls that they answered ordinarily would have been given up to a mutual aid company. But with the second ambulance that's there answering the call, 1, serviced the community quicker, 2, was able to generate a little bit of revenue for the town. So that revenue just goes for reimbursement of, the EMS staff, towards their salaries. ongoing problems that we have with COVID-19, as we explained in the beginning, RSV cases, you name it, these guys deal with it. Before they get started, we're going to reenact a little situation here with the two EMTs. Hold on one minute, fellas. With the two EMTs. If you notice, both EMT Diaz and EMT Tradia, they're dressed for battle different than the firefighters. This is how they handle respiratory problems with COVID. This is what they have to wear when they go on each call. And you say, well, they got ballistic vests on. What are they doing with ballistic vests? The places that they go, domestic terrorism, they become targets. They're people to help, and they become targets. So we outfitted them with ballistic vests to protect them a little bit more. They go into shooting situations, mutual aid into the city of Trenton. You name it, combative people. So they're geared up like this to be able to protect themselves from the people that they serve. We're going to simulate a cardiac arrest right now. So both Ben and Felix are going to attend to one of our ex-employees here, Dummy. Remember, we said this is a cardiac arrest, so as soon as the EMTs arrive, they start CPR. Ben at the head is ventilating the patient while Felix administers CPR. Now, what we have there is two EMTs that are tied up that can't do anything else. They're both committed to try and help this particular victim. We now carry equipment on our ambulances that we can address this situation and free up one or two of the EMTs. First, what they're going to do is they're going to apply an AED, a shocking treatment to the, they're going to try and shock the heart back into rhythm. Notice Felix isn't giving up with the CPR. He's continuing the CPR. How long do you think you could really do that before you have to switch out to something else? We're fortunate that the police department rides with us, and of course, like I said, the fire division.
Connect electrodes.
And we're able to alternate members to do CPR. But now we've increased our abilities with a new piece of equipment that we've had in service for a couple of years.
Check connector and electrodes. Check connector and electrodes. Check connector and electrodes.
We're simulating now a couple of extra hands coming in. This is called a Lucas system. This is an automatic CPR machine. So instead of somebody having to do CPR manually, this machine will do it.
It prefers real people, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's what it is. It doesn't like working on the mannequins, it likes working on the real people. Anyhow, we're getting the idea of what it does. It actually does what Felix is doing for CPR. It automatically does the CPR process. The shocks aren't working because there's nothing.
It's not picking it up because it's not a real person. That's why I keep saying to connect them, even though they're connected. It's just because it's a dummy.
Okay, so now they'd be ready just about now to transport the person. So you can see the stretcher that they're on right there is a power stretcher. It's automatic. In the days of manual stretcher, both the EMTs would have to pick that up and move it. This not only helps the EMTs with physical things that they are involved in, it saves their back a little bit, but it's also a much safer way to transport the patient. We're looking at some equipment right there between the Lucas system, the AED and the stretcher. You're talking about somewhere in the general area about $30,000 to $35,000 worth of equipment right there. Okay, guys, I know you're strained out with that stuff, so you can take them out. Spoke about the training, about the equipment that we use. What's really important to note out of this is that we have 2 full-time EMTs that are paramedics. Now, they can't practice as paramedics because we're only a basic life support system, but the knowledge that they have from all the training that they had as medics, they can institute when they're on a scene with somebody. So they've done some things with the help of helping the paramedics that do respond because they're familiar with what they're doing. So they definitely can help the patients, the victims. We've also started to move out into Swiftwater. Both the fire division and the EMS are trained now as Swiftwater technicians and operators. We say, well, Swiftwater, I mean, we're not around any rivers or anything, right? So where do you use that? Flooded roadways. Many of the floods that suffer here, people don't turn around and try to drown and drive into the big puddles. So now what we have to do is we have to go in and try and assess whether anybody's in the car and possibly rescue them. So being trained as Swiftwater technicians and operatives, that gives them the ability to go in and have the equipment now. They can go in. We have a high water truck at Station 3 in Lawrenceville that we use during those flooding conditions. And also we've had in the past couple of months, the experience of Jackie's Creek, right behind the shopping center there, behind the Burlington Coat Factory, where everybody does all their driving practices. Well, we find that some people are not hitting the brake, they're hitting the gas, and they're ending up through the woods into the canal. So we end up having to fish them out of the canal, and this is where the Swiftwater training comes in to effect once again. So it's good for us. It's really good for the people that are in the car. Just a lot of different things. We stand by football games. We do trunk or treat, the medical division, they're involved in all kinds of things. Santa Claus, you name it, they're all involved in it. And it's a testament to the career staff. They really do a great job. These are just some of the, it's a breakdown again of the calls for service that they've been on. I just want to address real quickly something. I'm not an EMT. I've never been an EMT, but I've been out on enough emergencies in my life that I see these people. But, their job doesn't stop just when they go somewhere to help out a patient, especially when it's a tragic incident where somebody passes away. And I've watched the EMT staff, while I've been there, console the family, sit down and be with them, compassionate, sympathetic, help the people get through that trauma, that tragic moment that they're in. Motor vehicle accident, that's where there's a fatality, same thing. I know a couple of the EMTs that, sometimes elderly people call and they kind of make up an ailment that they have because they're lonely. The EMTs will go, they'll sit there, they'll be in service, but they'll sit with the people, console them a little bit. I even think a couple times they even may have cooked them a little lunch or a little breakfast, to help them out. But that's the compassionate side to the EMS community. Touch very quickly on the fire study initiative. As we know, the fire study initiative, there was 38 recommendations that came out. Of those 38 recommendations, we have instituted 27 of them. Some do not pertain to us at this particular rate, at our stage, and we're still evaluating those things. Some that we are trying to move towards putting together. It's a slow process, but I think that we've accomplished a great deal with what we've done so far with the recommendations, and I think it has definitely improved our service, especially in the combination department that we have right now, the combination of a career and volunteer staff. It's a cohesive unit, and it had to do with following some of the recommendations that were in the fire study. This is just the enumerated things in the fire study. I'm sure everybody's pretty much aware of what's in it, so we're not gonna kick it around that much, but here's something that we need to touch on. When the independent fire companies were by themselves, each one had their own separate rules, regulations, policies, procedures. When we combined into an organization, a combined organization, that was troublesome, because something that was different in one organization was not the same in something else. So we undertook a year-long project with the help of our CFO and the manager supporting it, to go over and produce a clear, concise, and complete set of policies and procedures that apply to everybody in the fire department. It also sets the parameters for the township as basically employers. We know what we're supposed to do. We know how to do it. These people also know how to act. Pre-planning, our fire marshal at Tenza, he does a great job at this. Usually on his inspections, he goes out and he'll take a layout of the buildings, and he'll put it into our emergency reporting system, so that the firefighters, when they're responding to a call, have an idea what the building looks like. First responders, we spoke about that. Recommendation 19, we've already done. We created a singular combination of volunteer and career fire division. Definitely use the department-wide training program. We do that now. In addition to that training program, what's of note is that we utilize an online training platform. So we post all the mandatory training that volunteers and career staff have to do in this online training. So it's accessible. It's a web-based program. It's accessible from home, so they don't have to come to a particular place and give up time with their family. They bed down the kids at night, or they're at home kicking back a little bit. They can sign into the program. They can watch a 30-minute video. They can learn about bloodborne pathogens or whatever, and it's not taking away from their time that they're invested at home. So we try to relieve a little bit of that for the volunteers in a career. Here, let's see, agencies, social media policies, which are important. The other thing here, you'll notice 35 talks about the VIP and the LoSAP program. The LoSAP program is also another recognition program that the township maintains for those that don't want to participate in the volunteer incentive program. So there's others that can still maintain the LoSAP program. It's another contribution of 500, I think it is, a year, that's held until the firefighter, the volunteer, retires from fighting fires, and then they can draw on it like almost like a Social Security thing. Real quick, jump into the fire marshal's office. They have two full-time fire inspectors. They have a housing inspector and an administrative assistant in the fire marshal's office. They enforce all the uniform fire codes in all the businesses. They look at permit inspections for food trucks, for fireworks displays, large gatherings, and they also investigate fires that occur in town. So far, 2023, as of when we put the program together, they conducted 1,494 inspections of local and lake hazards. And they also did re-inspections of 1,075. Now, to just put this in perspective a little bit, I told you we have two fire inspectors. The second fire inspector was not hired to assist Fire Marshal Tenza until, I think it was the beginning of this year. So last year, there was two people in the office that did this work. It's amazing. It's amazing work. Plus, they had to handle complaints, they had to do permits, and they did their fire investigations. So it's an amazing accomplishment, commitment on the fire marshal's part. The revenue that they generate from their inspections and the registrations. So you see the total township fire registrations grossed in $132,000, a little over that. Total permits, $22,240. And fire lane summonses, $350. I think that could get stepped up a little bit, but I don't want to do too much with the enforcement. And alarm registrations, fines and penalties, and dedicated penalties. So you got a little bit more money in that part. The housing inspector. The housing inspector is one person, Con Aronson. He conducts all kinds of motel, apartment buildings. He goes to transfer properties and does inspections. There were 3,380 multiple dwelling units inspected in 2023. And there's, because of the new rules, there are, and the building that we have now, the construction in the town, it looks like that's going to jump up to about 3,481 in 2024 for one person. And this is what he generates in revenue. $71,973. Not a bad piece. Hard work for one man. A lot of work. These are just the years prior, 103,000. And I just want to get in real quick to some of the requirements of my position. I spoke to you briefly about the responsibilities and the burdens of being a supervisor, especially with sending people into very dangerous situations where they go. The command staff is seated here in front. I just want to introduce them very quickly. I have Deputy Chief Dave Moore, Deputy Chief Mike Oakley, Deputy Chief Ray Nagy, Fire Marshal Ed Tenza, and our EMS Chief Chrissy Vincent. This is the backbone to our operation. These are the people that are there that make sure things get done. Not only the administrators, but they are also responders. They're operatives on the fire ground. The years of experience that these people have right now is hundreds of years, hundreds. You got two guys that have over 35, 30 years worth of experience sitting up here right now. So these are not people that are just in these positions because they're good looking. No, they're in a position because they are skilled at what they do. Their knowledge, their expertise, and what they put down every single day in their job is utterly amazing to me. And I appreciate what they do day in and day out. Maybe sometimes we get used to it, because it just happens all the time, but they deserve recognition for what they do, believe me. 5 years of supervisory experience for the Chief of Emergency Services, to draft standard operating guidelines, ensure all federal rules are met, review departmental training and make sure that it's done right. Respond to fires, just as a little side note, whenever they happen. Authorized training courses for department staff, which is extremely important because we want to broaden the horizons of our staff. So they'll submit to go to particular training. It's reviewed to make sure that it's something that pertains to the field of firefighting. Monitor sick people, sick time, budgets, of course, tonight. Disciplinary actions, which are not always easy. Unions, really sometimes I think that's more towards the manager's part. He does most of the union issues. If there's any problems in any of the departments, either EMS or fire, we treat the people with respect and we get them the help that they need. And these are for employees. Some other things that we do, provide replacement equipment that we need. You saw some of the equipment that we use on a regular basis, and the toys are expensive. They're not things that are on a wish list. They are things that we need in order to do our job. New fire equipment, fire trucks. We have to look at the bids when they come back to make sure that they're adequate. While we're on the fire equipment stuff, our 3 fire stations that we have right now, and the EMS building. The 3 fire stations were built in the early 1900s. They've been renovated. They are antiquated, is the best thing I can tell you. One of the stations is a little bit conducive to our operation, and that's the North Station, Lawrenceville. They have, you know, a pretty good setup out there. Size-wise, they do have sleepover accommodations, but they're short on, you know, gender-specific things, you know, showers and breaking down another sleeping quarters for, you know, for females. So we need to really give a hard look at these stations, which I know we're doing right now, but there's reasons why we need to improve the conditions that the employees operate under. 2 major things that kill firefighters and EMTs: cardiac disease and cardiac disease. What was the other? Oh, cancer. Cancer. I'm sorry. And the cancer part is something that has just come to light over the past 20, 25, 30 years. And the reason that they find that cancer, not only because of the atmosphere that firefighters go into, the smoke and everything that comes there, but also when they come back from a call and they store their gear in the same area that they live and sit in, the carcinogenic materials that are burned into their equipment now off gas, and they sit there and they breathe it in. And it's documented that that's a problem. A new facility, we can control that. We can put a decontamination area in. We can have it isolated from the areas that the firefighters and the EMTs actually go into. So it's important that we build something to be able to make our first responders safer. Just some other things about the NFPA standards that we all know about. Incident command system, which we don't operate anything other than incident command. And what's important too is that Lawrence Township is a NIMS compliant, a National Information Management System compliant community, which means we have a lot stricter guidelines of things that we have to do here and training that we have to go through, inclusive of our staff, of the council and some of the staff that's here as department heads. So we have to train everybody in NIMS because, as we're going to get into here, the emergency management aspect of my position, you know, our emergency operations plan has components in it, it has addendums in it. There's things that need to be put in place for continuance of operations if something occurs. It's an all hazards plan. The all hazard plan means that no matter what occurs, we can put this emergency operations plan towards it, and it gives us a framework to be able to mitigate and work through whatever the event is. I don't care if it's a natural disaster. I don't care if it's a man-made disaster. You know, I don't care if it's an IT problem, you know, where all of a sudden we suffer a major breakdown in our communication system. Our emergency operations plan is fully ready to be able to work on those particular things. So some of the training that is necessary for the emergency management coordinator. In the emergency management department, I have an administrative assistant, Donna Connie. I know other department heads have spoken about their administrative assistant. Well, Donna Connie is the hub of the wheel for our emergency services. The manager gave Donna to us a couple of years ago, and she has been an outstanding individual as far as her work ethic and what she can get done. There's things that I come up with that I think about that she's already done. Because she's motivated and she knows what's going on. And as she's learning her job a little bit more, she becomes a lot better of a person. And so we're very thankful to have Donna in our group. I review all kinds of plans from outside agencies, nursing homes, schools. They develop their own emergency operations plans. They submit them. I have to review all those things. And I don't authorize them. I don't give the stamp to them, but I do actually look at them and make sure that they have all the components that are necessary for an all hazards approach to a plan. Opening up the EOC, our Emergency Operations Center. By and large, there are few and far between times that we have to do that, which we're fortunate about. But in any kind of an emergency, we are always ready with our partners in Public Works, Health, and the Police Division to open up the Emergency Operations Center and get that up and running so that we can manage the incident a lot easier from one particular location. And just to let you know, it's something to look forward to. If we do have to open up the UC, you guys will be invited. Assess the hazards, analyze the assessments of disasters and emergencies. So in other words, an after action. After something occurs, we do an after action. We look at it. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? How can we better respond to our particular incident? And that's a very important part of our process. Talked about the NIMS. Budgets and expenses. So out of the OSHA budget, this is some of the stuff that we actually purchased. The SCBA masks that you saw on the firefighters, we have to give a mask to each individual because in the old days in the firehouse, you would run in and you would take a mask off the wall and the air pack and the mask would be sitting there, and if it hadn't been a long time since it was put on there, you get a face full of dust when you turned it on, or somebody else forgot to clean it out, and here you are putting your face into it. Now each individual firefighter has their own SCBA mask. Repairs, certifications, testing, all that stuff comes out of OSHA. Hydrostatic testing, fire helmets, which is another part of the personal protective gear that we have. The fit test machine. The fit test machine, we medically examine each and every firefighter every year based on they submit a questionnaire, and it goes to Penn Medicine for review. Once it goes to Penn Medicine, if they don't find anything that they need to flag or have a question asked about, then they're passed to be able to do a fit test. And the fit test is a machine that is the SCBA mask that makes them do particular movements and operations to make sure that, one, the mask fits properly, two, that they can actually do the operations when they go out and do the firefighting operations that they do. So in the capital expenditures for this year, we're looking for personal protective equipment. I told you we were just very fortunate to receive $75,000. With the additional monies that we're asking for, we should be able to outfit about 36 sets of gear, which would greatly enhance where we're at right now. It'll help us tremendously. Our SCBAs, they have a shelf life. They're only good for a certain amount of time. We have to replace them as well. Our portable radio equipment, you see that. The portable radio equipment, in 2011, we were a part of a regional grant that was obtained by Mercer County, the Assistance to Firefighter Grant, where there were millions of dollars that were actually given in the grant to purchase radio equipment for all of the fire departments. So Lawrence Township got $347,000 worth of radio equipment, and our contribution was only $66,000. However, that stuff is well past its serviceability. As with anything, there's new advances in the portable radio communications. The lifeline of what the firefighters and EMTs use nowadays are those radios. We need to start to replace those radios, and it's going to be an incremental thing. We're not going to be able to do it all at once, but we're going to have to start to replace those radios because they're just not serviceable anymore. We can't buy parts for them. You can't do anything to make them, hold them together with Band-Aids anymore. So they need to be replaced. Apparatus replacement, and then we're trying to get the apparatus replacement up and running. We're starting to put a little bit of money every year. Fire trucks nowadays, a regular pumper truck is going to cover a general area about $800,000, and a ladder truck probably somewhere in general area about 1.8, 1.9 million. So you're looking at great expenses coming up, but we're trying to piecemeal that in with our CFO, that we're making contributions into the capital every year so that we're not going to be hit too hard when we have to actually replace that apparatus. Fire inspector, the fire marshal's office and housing is just some of the things that they're looking for in their budgetary. So it's in your handouts for you guys to look at. And just as I wrap up, before see if you have any questions. I'm the last one to talk as a department head. You saw the other department heads that came before you over the past couple of meetings. I've been a lot of different places in my life. I've been on a lot of different teams, both recreational and professional. I've worked with a lot of high-speed people. I've done things in my careers that would probably make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. But I always knew that my training, my experiences, my knowledge, and the people that I worked with made my life and made my job a lot easier and gave me a vote of confidence. The other department heads that are part of this team, unprecedented. I've never worked with such a great group of individuals as these people. And it's a day in, day out working relationship that I'm just amazed at how much we get accomplished. And I hope that you see the same thing that we do, because they are great people and they are dedicated to making Lawrence Township a better place to live in. And I think that they deserve a round of applause after all these different presentations. The people that we spoke about, the people that came before you tonight, first responders, those are the people that do this job day in and day out. You see it in the audience. They're here tonight because they're vested. They want to be here. They want to know that, or want you to know that they continue to put forth an effort that most people wouldn't do. And I'm going to ask them all to stand up real quickly. Any first responders, I want you to stand up real fast. Come on, don't be shy. Let's go. I know who you are. That's your emergency services right there. In closing, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the men and women who comprise the Emergency Services Department. When we speak of pride, honor, heart, dedication, and everyday soldiers, we describe these people who regularly risk their lives to protect us. They continue to place themselves in harm's way, making sacrifices most people would consider unimaginable. Real heroes don't wear capes, masks, or cowls. Real heroes wear uniforms and badges and stethoscopes. These heroes are members of our military, our law enforcement, and our first responders. They ask for nothing in return for their actions and find great joy in helping people, sometimes at the cost of their own lives. Please join me in recognizing those heroes as we just did, and make sure that you realize that they are here to make Lawrence Township a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oakley, for that interactive and tremendous presentation. Real shock and awe there. And thank you for all of the service and all of your commitment in my short time. I've been out there and seen you all firsthand, have stood and seen you at work. And just, thank you on behalf of council for all of the work that you do and your commitment and dedication and service to our town. You really make Lawrence a better place to live. We feel safer because we know you're there. So with that, I'll open for council, Councilwoman Perry, if you have a question.
Thank you very much. And as many of you know, I am a living witness of how well our township takes care of their residents. But I'm asking you, what are some challenges you think are coming down the line in the next year to two that you're going to be facing that you may need assistance with?
The biggest thing that we're looking at is personnel, of course, career staff. Our volunteers do a yeoman's effort as far as what they do and how they service the town. But as their numbers dwindle, I think it's the responsibility of the township to increase the career staff, to be able to cover more hours and to relieve some of the responses that the volunteer staff have to do. Of course, everything comes with a dollar figure, as you know, but we definitely want to try and expand the amount of time that we cover with a career staff, both fire and EMS. I mean, EMS, we do a good job now, but you're only talking about one ambulance that's on a 12-hour shift. So, that's some of the things right there. The personal protective equipment, replacing that's very important to us right now. As I tried to explain during the videos and show that when you place these men and women into arenas such as those fires that they were fighting, and you saw those little squirts of water coming out and turn into steam as they were trying to knock down the fires that they were in. That's real life. That's things that we need, and to protect them with the best equipment that's out there that's possible. That's a challenge as well. And the last thing is, I think our EMS crew, this pertains to them more than the fire division. When they faced all these variables with COVID, the EMTs, when it first started, when the COVID problem occurred, the EMTs retrofitted the ambulances that we had with makeshift decontamination equipment. They built decontamination in tents over top of the stretchers that they had. They forced air into the patient compartment to try and decontaminate. They physically wiped down the ambulance after every single call, plus deconned themselves so they didn't take any of this stuff home. Now, ambulances are equipped with these decontamination components. They're automatic. You pull into the station, you plug it in, the rig gets decontaminated. We have an ambulance on order right now, and we were able to get that ambulance through a grant that we got from COVID. It was just a whim that I tried to do it, but we received $198,000 for a new ambulance, and it's going to be outfitted with those decontamination components that we need. So it's going to make it safer for the EMTs when they're transporting these people who are definitely sick. So those are some of the challenges that we face, and recruitment, of course. That's always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Bobbitt?
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. It's just a reminder of just how much goes into this town, both from your services and from the other departments, but especially yours. Having people come in was eye-opening to me. That had never happened before, so thank you. But I just want to say, I think what you all do is just a testament to this community. The care and love that you show to this community in terms of protecting us and taking care of us. I think, again, and working with the incredible team, the incredible staff that we have here, we are very fortunate in Lawrence Township. So I just want to publicly say thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Mayor, I just have a quick comment.
Absolutely.
First of all, Jack, thank you, and thank you all for coming here supporting Mr. Oakley. For the new members and of council, there is work to be done, but there has work that has taken place over the last 7 years at least. I just have personal knowledge of it. When I first came on as municipal manager, the fire department was an emergency management coordinator that was under the police chief and had a small office at the police station in 2017. We knew there was a reason and a necessity to raise the level of fire and EMS in our organization. And so we moved fire out, brought them over to municipal building. Somehow we got the best office in the building. I don't know how that happened, whatever. We got an administrative assistant to help. We moved the fire marshal from another department, put them under the fire department. And when you see all of these people here, they were never here years before, because we are now a combined fire department, and the volunteers are as invested as the career. Those that respond for the volunteer are heroes, plain and simple, and they should be supported always. And I do firmly support them and their continued contribution to the town. But for the EMTs, the one consistent thing that I get as a manager, letters of thanks, are for the EMTs, because they treat people at their most vulnerable. I was one of them. And they have compassion and professionalism and experience. And that's what drives people to say, hey, Mr. Nowinski, you've got good people there, and I know that already, and I want you to know that, and I know you know that.
Oh, yeah.
So there has been a lot of work that has taken place over the last 7 years. There's more work to be done. We're in the middle of this merger transition, and it's difficult, it's challenging for leaders because everybody has an opinion, everybody has an idea what they think is best. But, you know, the one thing that I know Jack is committed to and the leadership here is getting the information and making the best decision with the information and the resources you have. And so I just wanted to thank Jack. I'm proud to work with him and all the staff members here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I'm almost speechless here.
Okay.
So we welcome you all to stay, or I understand that you have to head home after 8 o'clock. Again, we want to thank you for your service. And as you know, many of us here, sitting here on this dais, know firsthand and have had experience with the incredible work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the Lone Ranger used to say, cloud of dust and a hardy high of silver, and here they go.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
No.
You'll fight.
As they're heading out, I want to just state this is the first opportunity now for public participation. If there's anyone that is interested in making any comments, if you would come to the front, sign in, and you would have to leave it us. All right. See you.
I sound in here?
Yes, please. And just state your name when you're at the podium.
My name's Robert William Smith. I live just Orchard Lane, just down the road from here. First of all, I'd like to say that was a very good presentation, and quite proud of all the people in the EMS and stuff like that. But I just wanted to just sort of, I've been going to quite a few of these ones, and maybe I misunderstood. There was a study, one of the recommendations that this chap was asking to the council, I think number 5 or number 6, was this study about the fire stations. And I think it was in December that the council said, or was it Kevin saying that the study was, you had the study and you were going to look at it, and then you were going to share that study with us all. It's now March, maybe I misunderstood, and that wasn't, that's been delayed or something. But it's very, important. It was a recommendation among the 22 recommendations or something. But I would like to, just look at it and have input and about what the recommendations on the stations are going to be. I don't know if that's, do we have the study, or where is it, or?
And if I could just, and I just want to add one other thing. I don't know if you were familiar. We also have added that we are going to do additional community engagement. Our public safety and fire committee will be going out into the public to have conversations within the community. So that will also be an opportunity.
Through a council like this.
Just in community meetings by committee.
Mayor, do you mind? I want to
Yeah, I'll let you,
Can I
go
correct
ahead,
you?
sir.
And I
Yes.
apologize for doing
Yeah.
that.
No, oh, no, go
So,
ahead.
so the council has asked the Public Safety Committee, which is an advisory committee, that's a panel that's been in service for years, to take a look at the issue of consolidation and location of a site for a consolidated unit. That process has not started. Those meetings are public, but it's an advisory committee. It's not like this. It's a group of volunteer citizens that are appointed by the council to comprise the Public Safety Committee. So it's not going to be a question and answer situation. It's for them to study the materials and go through a process that ultimately will lead to a recommendation for the elected officials to consider on how to move forward. I think the first meeting, I'm not sure.
March 14th.
Yeah, it's posted on the website. It's next week, I think. With regard to the second study that was done, this is a new governing body. The idea was to allow them the time to have the information, to get a better sense of it before people came up and started asking question after question after question, and they didn't know the information or wanted to get a better sense of the total situation before it was given to the public. Mr. Sybeck is the new attorney, and I think it's important for him to advise the council on what, if anything, in the study as it relates to public safety and fire and emergency response should be redacted from public consumption, because we don't want certain information for public safety reasons to get out potentially in that. So that process has to happen. I think everybody's committed to the transparency of that report, but we want to do it in a way where the council is fully understanding of what's happening and the attorney has an opportunity to make sure that nothing is in there that that could be released to the public where people with nefarious intentions could utilize. Bad people. And that's all. It has nothing to do with secret information that we want to withhold from the public. That's not what that's about. It's more about, we don't release public safety information to people that potentially want to do harm. And so that's where we are in the process. And I think it would be fair to say, after the attorneys had a chance to look at it, maybe the council can make a definitive decision to publish it. The first study is on the website, as you know, right? And so the idea is to get that second study on the website for people to review in redacted form, if anything needs to be redacted. And so that's my long-winded answer.
Does that make sense?
It does. It's nice to get this information. And by the way, having this committee, safety committee, I think it's an excellent idea. Get the community involved, and then they can, you know, good skilled people to do that. That's excellent. But I think it's very important. This transparency, as Kevin said, is just tell us. You know, in December, you said that you're going to do this. This is like an update. Yes, we're doing it. Not quite there. The nice gentleman, the lawyer, is going to have a check over it. You'll have a look at it. But, in 3 months' time, if it's not, I'll come up and ask the same question.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's fine.
It'll be out before that, I promise.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Need to shut. Okay.
Ronnie Mackles. So I asked this question at the last meeting and I didn't get an answer. These studies, starting with the Rogers 2020 study, as many of you know, there is no Rogers anymore. The company doesn't exist. The email is dead. I found a press release saying they were bought by some other company called Lexicon or something like that. One of our neighbors called Lexicon. They don't know anything about the study. They don't have a copy of the study. The study has disappeared into thin air. So first, why are we giving credibility to this study? And backing up even further, the land that I come from, you go to RFP and everybody competes for a study. How do we even find these people or this person or this friend or this brother or this nephew to tell us exactly what we wanted to hear, because that's kind of what it's starting to sound like with the lack of transparency with this Rogers company. Again, I'm talking about the 2020 study that all of those recommendations were based on. So I'd like a little bit more information about the Rogers study. Who are they? Who are these people, and why do they have any credibility? Then the second study that we were just talking about right now, again, who are these people? Did we go out to RFP and select somebody to do this study, or are they somebody's brother or somebody's uncle or somebody's cousin? So who are these people and where did we find them? Those are my two questions.
Thank you.
Mayor, I don't know how far you want me to go,
Okay.
right? Because when I talk,
Mhm.
I seem to get in trouble.
No,
You know what I
no.
mean? I have a lot to say.
Okay.
But I don't know when you want that to happen, so.
Maybe if we could just start with answering the question about the company that did the study.
The Rogers Group was comprised of professionals and consultants with incredible experience. They are nobody's brother. There was no side deal. There was, they were engaged through a proposal process and they conducted the study.
Okay.
So there was nothing nefarious that was happening there,
Pause there.
okay?
Okay, because could it be a possibility that maybe, I'm sorry, the individual who was asking the question, I'm sorry, have your name?
Ms. Mackles.
Ms. Mackles,
Yeah.
that maybe, do you have the correct information with regards to, you know, who we're searching? There could be.
Oh, yeah, I read the 170-page study. I did. And we did all of our due diligence and we cannot find these people and the company doesn't exist anymore. And the company that purchased them doesn't know anything about the study.
So I think without Mr. Nowinski, you having to go into deeper conversation, maybe we can just, not off the record, but look into the matter a little bit more clearly.
There's nothing to look into.
Okay, just in terms
There's
of the
nothing to look
company.
into.
Okay.
The information
I think a
has
lot of us
been.
would like more
Wait
information.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
the
Please stay at the
information-
podium if you would like to discuss. Please come back up to the podium so we can hear you.
I would like more information.
come up
and I
to-
speak
Yeah,
for
okay.
other people as well.
Mhm.
You have to be on the record.
Sure.
You know, I just want to get to that perhaps there could be something that is missing in terms of the communication from what you are researching and from what the manager has access to. Sure.
First of all, I apologize. I would have had all of the information here in front of me. We're in the middle of doing a budget, so I was not prepared for that type of information.
So would it
You're
be
gonna
better?
hate that I'm gonna say that on my blog.
Mhm. Oh, no,
I'm not
no,
looking at
Yeah.
the law.
no, but I
No,
think
it's,
this,
it has
this would be a
the
clear matter,
information
yeah.
on there,
Mhm,
right? And definitively from my mouth
mhm.
to all of your ears, there was no want for a conclusion to be reached. If the volunteer fire companies who were providing service to our town for more than 100 years
Mhm.
were firing on all cylinders and providing the level of service that we needed and expected in terms of a public safety response, there would be nothing happening right now. We would be going on. But around the country, volunteer firemen have decreased in numbers
Yeah.
significantly, and our town is no different.
No,
So in 2020, when that study was conducted, it was conducted because the volunteer fire forces were unable to meet the needs of the community. So we wanted to do a study to determine what we need to do to better provide public safety fire response to our community. And that's the genesis of it.
Mhm.
And wherever those experts took us in their conclusions,
Mhm.
we were gonna review, consider, discuss,
Mhm.
and make a plan moving forward.
Correct.
There's no personal gain by a combined fire response. What it is a responsible government officials, elected and administrative,
Absolutely.
seeing a need,
Mhm.
addressing a need based upon data
Mhm.
and information that's reliable and that we have
Mhm.
in order to move forward with the proper response. And we have been doing that systematically since
Mhm.
2017. This new company is made up of experts, consultants. They exist. They are aware of the 2020 study. They are aware of the study that you all have.
Yep.
They exist. They could be contacted. And I guess once you all get to that point where you want to release the study, you can put it on the website, and then all the residents could have that information.
Okay. My concern, just the accusation that the company that we're using is for some reason non-existent, or that there's question about the company that we're using. And I think that's a matter that can be clearly rectified, just, in terms of, that's why, I don't know,
So Mayor, the 2020 study, you can do your own due diligence, just try to figure out who the Rogers Group is and contact them. You're not gonna get very far. We don't know anything about them. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they exist, and the company that acquired them doesn't know anything about the study. That just seems a little bit odd. And you can talk all you want about volunteer firefighters and necessities and whatever, but that's not the question that I'm asking right now. The question that I'm asking right now is, who's the Rogers Group? What credibility do they have? And what was the process, or the RFP process, or whatever process you went through in hiring them? That's the question that I'm asking a second time. And then I have the same question for the second study that we're talking about. Who are these people? Where do they come from? What credibility do they have? What was the bidding process? I'd like that information as a township resident.
Well, thank you for your question, and then we'll look into it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Vicki Russo. I sent to the township clerk. I'm not the best with technology, so I just want to make sure that you got my video that I sent.
I did.
You did. Were you able to distribute it?
I was.
Okay. Any comments or opinions, or not at this time, I'm assuming? Okay. Well, I'm just so happy that you saw it. I apologize for the language, if you heard language, which I'm sure you did. But as you can see, my concern is just the traffic and the safety. We couldn't even get into the neighborhood. And I think, in Lawrence, based on what you saw with the fire department and the EMT, we are a very big community-focused place. So to have a real community center would be lovely, but I just don't think logistically here would be the best site. And also another thing I just want to say, listening to everything, my husband is from this township. His father and mother, I think their house is like 70 or 80 years old. They've been here forever, the Russos. And they had all these, you always had Slackwood, Lawrenceville, and the Lawrence Township. And everybody liked having those little fire companies near them. It was a sense of security. So I don't know whether or not one place is a great idea or not. I don't think so, but I think everybody's used to the multiple locations, and they feel secure about that.
Thank you for your comment. We haven't made any decisions yet.
No, I know.
For the future, so we appreciate your comment.
Thanks.
Mayor, I do have a comment about, I did review the video. And it's important for everybody to understand. The video was about the holiday tree lighting that happened. And unfortunately, leading up to the holiday tree lighting, one night, there was no ability to park on the grassy area for the cars. So for the visitors that were celebrating community for one night were assisted parking along West Long Drive. One night. It happens throughout the community events that we celebrate here in town. People gather, and at times, that's what happens. And there was a comment in the video. I want to be very, very clear. If there is a facility that exists here, it would be a municipal facility filled only with municipal employees, much like the police department, there will be no weddings. There will be no events to raise money because it's a professional building filled with professional firemen, EMTs, and 911 dispatch if that's something that happens. But there will be no events, there will be no weddings, there will no be consistent hundreds of vehicles. It's one night that we celebrate community here at the municipality.
And everybody loves it.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, well. You're like the.
Well, two things. One thing is there's more than one night. Usually there's that, the night out, the safety night, there's people hanging out, parking there too. I've never seen people park on the grass, so don't know what that is, for this one night a year. But, it is possible that I was misunderstanding that at one meeting that they said that they wanted it to be a community center as well. So, okay, well, if that's not the case, you did hear, okay, so that's what I heard, but if that's not the case, then,
I can absolutely assure you 100% that there will not be a community center at the fire department facility if one, should one be made. That would never happen
on that location.
at any location.
Well, right now, I mean, the one in Lawrence, I mean, they used to have tricky tray, Lawrenceville used to have the tricky trays and the bingos
Just
and things
know-
like that.
You're talking about halls for volunteer fire companies is much different than a community center. So
Okay, well,
that's totally different.
No, I get that, but I'm talking about if you're planning on having a hall in this fire department, that would affect the traffic.
Yes, absolutely would
And
not
the
happen.
reason for sending that was because I sat here at those meetings and heard community center. I just didn't like dream that up, but, okay.
But, okay, thank you for your comments. We heard you. And,
I like being
yeah,
here.
I don't, yeah, professional buildings, but not, host parties. Alright, so we're closing off the, public comments for this time. We do not have any, review or revisions to the agenda, and there are no adoptions of minutes from a previous meeting. And awarding and or rejection of bids, we don't have any, is that correct? Okay. This brings us to the introduction of ordinances. If I could ask Councilman Bobbitt, would you like to make the motion?
Name check. Thank you, Mayor. All right, I guess I'll take this. I'd like to make a motion to introduce 10A, ordinance number 2465-24, calendar year 2024, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limits and to establish a cap bank for the Township of Lawrence, County of Mercer, NJSA 40A:4-4514.
I second.
Okay. Is there any, Mr. Nowinski, would you like to provide an explanation?
Yeah, this is a standard budget practice among municipalities. It allows municipalities to create a bank of potential funds that could potentially be used in the next two budgets if necessary. And the amount that would be involved in this would be $355,258.22. And it's not money, it's not tax, it's not real. It is space and time potential to utilize should we need it. And, if we don't need it, it's expired.
Okay. May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Madam Mayor? Mr. Manager, what would be an expense that would go against this money? Like, for example?
So it's a cap towards the municipal budget. So if we have a budget that has a shortfall in it, so it's not towards specific things, that cap can be used, that cap bank funds could be used to manage the municipal budget.
And if it's necessary, we would be advised by item what it would be spent for?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Pete, do you want to?
Expound on it?
I think we're good.
We're good, yeah.
We're good. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Jamie?
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay, now, Councilman Bobbitt, if you'd like to make a motion?
I'll keep it rolling.
I'd like to make a motion to move 11A, ordinance number 2463-24, ordinance amending ordinance number 2375-20, providing certain job classifications and providing compensation for the municipal employees of the Township of Lawrence, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, Chief of Police salary for 2024 through 2027.
I second.
This ordinance is open to the public for participation. Is there any public participation?
Madam Mayor, may I ask one question of the manager?
Yes.
Could you provide us with a comparison report? I'm just curious as far as how we stand versus other.
Yeah,
municipalities.
I have that. I will provide it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll,
We have
please.
to close the public.
I'm closing public participation. For 11A.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move 11B, ordinance number 2464-24, ordinance amending ordinance number 2456-23, salary ordinance of the Township of Lawrence, unclassified and/or exempt seasonal and emergency non-union employees for 2023-2025, adding grant coordinator stipend for 2024 and 2025.
I second.
Okay. Is there any public participation? Seeing none, I close public participation. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Okay, that brings us to 12, the manager's report.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes.
I'd like to table 12B, please, on that.
Mayor, may I ask why?
It's incomplete. We didn't, we asked for like a table of organizations and stuff like that. On it, we didn't get all that.
Here you go. Let's keep
I
going.
second that. I would like to review more information on it before we go ahead and vote on it.
I was in a big binder. It's incomplete.
Most of the table.
Mayor, when,
Under, Mayor, if I may.
Yes,
Most of the table under Robert's rules is non-debatable. You need a vote up or down, and
Take a vote.
Well, I'd like to be heard.
Yes.
I'd like to know what information is due and owing. See, here's the thing. A lot of work goes into the preparation of the municipal budget. We provided a recommended budget that only deviated by the grants that we received. So there's no change since when we first handed you the recommended budget, except for the addition of some grants, and that's it. And we have waited for questions from council. I've heard from Mr. Bobbitt, I heard from Mr. Kanaki. Mayor, we've talked about the budget. And last week, when I heard nothing for anybody for a very long period of time, I sent a communication to everybody saying, I'm concerned. If you have questions, please ask the questions so Peter and I can have confidence that we're meeting the timeline that you all set for us for the introduction. We are guided by state budgetary laws. We are set on a schedule, and to undo the schedule because of some information that you think is due now, tonight, is, I have to say, just disappointing and upsetting. We need to be better than that in terms of how we function. I haven't received a single email, Mr. Ryan, from you or a phone call about the budget at all. You asked for, what'd you say, a table of organization? That was provided to you. And there's record of it being provided to you.
Correct.
So you routinely every year ask for a list of all the salaries.
Correct.
Right?
As
Okay.
part of the budget.
So all of the salaries.
Correct.
So that's all information that's available to you. So if you could just, for the council's purposes, identify exactly what is causing the tabling of the most major document that we do under a timeline that we have to meet. And over a period of time that there was so much opportunity to converse, to exchange information. So when we're out in public, we're ready to go. And it's happened every single year. We have been ready to go. This year, due to the silence, all of a sudden, I'm fighting a table to motion this critical document. And so if you could just very specifically, so the council can, when they vote, can understand what the information is, because I'm going to ask the council to take this seriously and vote to introduce this budget to keep us on the timeline. There's still a public hearing that has to take place on April 2nd, okay? We can keep ourselves on track and have that public hearing as it's going to be advertised. So we can do the work that you're elected to do and that I've been appointed to do and that Pete spends a lot of time preparing for us. So what's the information?
The information is line by line, jobs, salaries, titles.
How does that factor into the municipal budget? Because
Is it
the
part of the
recommended budget is a
I'm
line.
not here to argue with, I'm asking you, I want to table
But
it.
we are talking, and we should talk this
You should
through, and
Can
we're
I
all
just-
about transparency here. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
so the recommended budget that you were provided was a line by line budget.
Yes.
And it provides all of the salaries. That information exists within all of the information that you've been provided.
Can I just, make an observation? So tonight, we heard from from Mr. Oakley. That was the last presentation for the budget. Is it, unreasonable to want to digest all of the information that we've heard from all of the leads, all of the directors? We've just finished the one presentation this evening, the final one.
To be fair, that was a presentation of the work that's done by his department.
But it's part of the budget.
But the budget information you have all had. You've had for a long time.
Mayor, I have a few questions, if I may,
Councilman Bonnet.
while we're talking this through. One, I'm trying to understand Councilman Ryan, the councilman's, why he needs to have a table of organization when we have a municipal budget that is funded at a 0% tax increase, that addresses everything that the municipal manager sees as the day-to-day operations, that apparently we can fund fully through grant money and the tax levy and other fees and everything else. I'm just trying to understand why, when it was, the materials were given to us in January, and it is now March, why this came up now, without any email, any call, any conversation, until now, at the last minute. I just find it surprising. I find it perplexing that we're going to hold up a budget that, as we saw with the emergency services tonight, provides valuable services to the public and our residents. We're going to hold up a budget and potentially be in trouble with DCA because a table of organization, in which council doesn't really have a say in the hiring and firing of those people.
But Councilman Ryan has a right to request information when and how he wishes. I mean, that's part of his role.
Correct. And I got a second on it.
He has a right to that.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess we'll see what the motion table turns out to be.
So I have a question. If we proceed with this at the next meeting, does that completely throw us off the timeline? Because I thought we had more time than that. We have till May, correct?
So,
If you could please come, thank you.
council. So Arthur, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we would need to schedule an emergency meeting for this week sometime to redo the resolution that was adopted that changes the timeline to be compliant with the local finance notice of the dates that they have set. I think maybe then we'd have to do an emergency meeting to set the resolution to do the introduction at the next meeting. There's a difference in time that's set by statute. I think it's at least 28 days. And then we would have to have the adoption. These are the last options. The next meeting, we'd have to do the introduction, and then we'd have to do the adoption the second meeting of April. That would be April 19th.
Yes.
Is that right?
Calendar.
That would be the timeline. Is that the date?
Yeah.
Well, I believe you have under the revised deadline extension that local government services came out with. You have through April 30th to adopt the.
So the next closest, somewhere on that local finance notice is an asterisk or the closest meeting.
Or the closest meeting.
Or the next regularly scheduled meeting of the governing body.
Which would be that late April meeting.
The 16th, right?
Right, and it's actually April 15th. No, I'm sorry, April 16th.
That would be the timeline. That would be the new timeline.
Any filings with the DCA required?
That resolution, the emergency meeting that would readopt a change to the resolution, because of that, they look at that timeline.
And did they provide a response?
No, it would be sent with the introduced budget.
So I want to just be clear. So Councilman Ryan, if the information that you're requesting, which is a breakdown line by line of salaries, personnel information, if that was provided to you, you'd be satisfied and you could proceed?
And yes, with the job, I don't want the employees with the job and their title, the job description, yes.
Your job description as well?
Mhm.
200 employees.
With all due respect, that should have absolutely no impact on the introduction of the municipal budget. I can get that to him tomorrow.
Okay.
I can get him to it tomorrow. We know what the total salaries are.
Okay.
You guys, as an elected officials, you don't look at positions and say they shouldn't be there and they shouldn't get that much money. That's not your role. The role is the total salaries as appropriations under our budget. So the breakdown I could get.
If you could get that tomorrow, and that would satisfy Councilman Ryan's request,
Yes.
then we could proceed this evening? Or would you be in agreement with that?
Yes, Mayor.
I think we have a solution, right? Okay.
You still have a motion on the table.
Okay.
You have a motion moved and seconded, so you gotta,
Vote.
you have to vote or withdraw it, yeah.
Okay. All right. But we've had the discussion. Everyone is clear and understands what we're requesting and asking for.
Well, the motion
motion
is straightforward. The motion is simply to table 12B.
12B.
That's all you're voting on.
Yeah, that's all we're voting on. I just want to get a consensus from everyone that we're on the same page. Okay.
Okay, am I clear that we're voting on to table?
That's all.
That's what we're voting on. That is the motion that is on the floor.
Okay. So I already have a second, so I'm gonna call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bobbitt?
No.
Mr. Kanaki?
No.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Providing that we can get the information tomorrow.
It's a contingency.
Is that what Ms.
Yes, that's what has been agreed upon.
Correct.
Yeah, mhm.
So I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
vote no.
You're voting no?
Madam Clerk, I just needed clarification for that. My vote will be no if we are provided that information tomorrow.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perry.
Okay, so
You would-
she withdrawn her, so she's now no?
Yes, correct.
No. Now we're gonna do a motion to introduce the budget.
Correct.
Okay,
Wait,
wait.
you have to finish the roll call.
Can I finish the roll call? Okay. Mr. Ryan, you said no?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Farmer?
No.
Motion fails.
Okay.
Now if we can have a motion.
To introduce the budget.
Before the motion is made, I just have to say
Yes.
this on the record. This
Thank
is the
you.
introduction of the municipal budget for the Township of Lawrence for the year 2024. It represents a no tax increase, a no cent budget, for a total municipal budget of $60,720,228.14. If approved tonight, a hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at the municipal building on April 2nd, 6:30 PM, to discuss the budget further. And with that, I ask that there be a motion to introduce the municipal budget.
12B.
Councilman Bobbitt, if you could, please.
Let's give it a try. Mayor, I'd like to introduce 12B, number 136, authorizing the introduction of the municipal budget of 2024.
Second.
Madam Clerk, motion and second, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Thank you, council members, for working together on this. Appreciate it. We have now the attorney's report.
Mayor, point of order.
We have, yeah, we
The
have.
agenda.
Okay, hold on.
12A.
Why didn't you go to 12B? Okay. Bear with me. If we can have a motion now to move the next item on the agenda, Councilman Bobbitt.
I'll take a swing at it.
You're doing good.
I'd like to make a motion to introduce 12A, number 135, authorizing open space tax rate for 2024.
Okay. Kevin, do you have
Do I have a
I have
second?
Mayor,
The second.
Oh, okay, this is just for informational purposes only. This doesn't establish a tax rate. The tax rate's already established. This is informational. Document.
Okay. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, just a motion. You did get the second?
I do, it was Ms. Perry.
Ms. Perry,
Right.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that you heard that.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can call the roll, please.
Okay. Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. Now for the attorney's report.
Okay, I have, nothing, other than, I have in process a litigation report. It will be a report that I will have for the next meeting. I did have other information, but it was well covered involving the Elsa litigation, which I looked into. I have nothing to add to that. As I say, we'll have a case-by-case report. I think we should probably do that in executive session.
Okay.
So Madam Clerk will do that in executive session at the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
That brings us to the clerk's report.
Just a reminder that March 25th is the cutoff for county committee petitions, nominating petitions. There is a powers and duties class for council to take. I've already registered
Yes,
you,
are you
Mayor.
attending?
If any other members of council would like to attend, just let me know, and I'll register you as well.
When is the date for that? Madam Clerk?
April 13th, and it's online. They have an April 3rd and an April 13th.
All right, thank you. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't believe so.
Mayor, I have one quick question, since we are being sticklers for process.
Mhm.
I want to ask, in our MOU that was discussed on the special meeting of January 5th, we spoke of this meeting and the next meeting as going line by line over the budget. Is that still the case, or are we skipping that? I just want to be clear on that now so that we don't have any issues come our next meeting.
We can plan for it. Is there any discussion on that?
I think it's really just a question of whether we're doing it or not.
I would say yes.
I would agree.
Well, then why didn't we do it today at this meeting when it was in the MOU to discuss at this meeting? I did not see it on the agenda, so I thought we had skipped it.
You asked the question, so the answer is yes. We concluded the last presentation this evening.
Okay.
Mr. Manager.
All right.
Thank you.
Since, Councilman Bobbitt, can you repeat that since our manager was not in the room?
I didn't know that we're.
Oh, I was just asking that in our MOU from the special meeting of January 5th, we had a timeline for the budget. And not wanting to throw it off anymore with any unexpected surprises, I asked if we were going to do a line-by-line review of the budget. To which the mayor said yes, but that we delayed it from having it at this meeting to go through the beginning of the half of the budget because I guess we were waiting on the last presentation before we could go. So I leave it to the mayor to guide us forward.
All right. Moving right along to new business. All right. We have met and we've made 2 additional appointments. We'll enter them. Would you like to enter the Councilwoman Perry?
On the appointment for a committee member, a volunteer for the Public Safety Committee, we have voted unanimously to extend the invitation to Chris Lard.
Okay. You have a motion? Okay. All right.
We have a motion?
Yes.
Second, Councilman Ryan. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Abstain.
Mr. Kanaki,
No.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes.
Mayor, I think we have interest in appointing a position on zoning board. There was only one application on that and a motion to approve Andrew with SUKACH for the zoning board.
Okay,
Let me get a second.
thank you. Can we get a second, Councilwoman?
I second.
Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt,
Again, because I apologize for missing the interviews, I'll have to abstain from this one as well. Thank you.
Mr. Kanaki,
Yes.
Ms. Perry,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan,
Yes.
Mayor Farmer.
Yes. This brings us to the second opportunity for public participation. There's a 3-minute limit if you would come to the podium and state your name.
Sylvia Cobus, good evening. I would just like to thank all of the department heads. I've attended every meeting with all the presentations, and they were very informative. And me, as the resident, I would like to thank all of you for all the hard work you put in to make our township wonderful and very pleasant to live in. Public works, very, very important part of our community. We live in an area where there's a lot of green areas, and every time we call, if there is some littering issue or whatever, Public Works shows up immediately, cleans it up, and we truly, truly appreciate it. The graffiti at the end of the Cherry Tree Lane, constantly reappearing there. And Public Works immediately shows up and covers it up for us, and we appreciate it. Of course, engineering, police department, absolutely wonderful. Fire department, all of the volunteer firefighters, as in tonight's presentation, we can really truly appreciate how big part of the fire department of Lawrence Township they are. So we truly appreciate it. And thank you for all the hard work to the council members, to the township council for all the hours you put in to put up that budget. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Seeing no additional public participation, we'll close that. Moving right along, section 18 resolutions. You can have a motion.
If there's no objection, I'd like to move 18A1 through H6 in a block.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kanaki?
Yes.
Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mayor Farmer?
Yes. That brings us to grants. You can have another motion. You did everything? Okay.
You did that, Madam Mayor.
All right. I don't know why I was going to 6. Oh, that's 6. Okay. Brings us to council initiatives and liaison reports. Do we have any? No. Okay, not at this time. Written communication, Madam Clerk?
There's no written communication.
And we are not in need of an executive session for this evening?
Yes.
We are.
Oh, we are, I'm sorry.
Yes, we do.
Mayor, I make a motion to go into executive session.
Okay, thank you. We have a
Second.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance this evening.
Hey, Eric.
Hey,
Hey, Ben.
I might have gotten here an hour and a half late, but I got here.
Hey, you're here, right? Better late than never.
Well, I drive private. So
Oh, are you doing that now?
I came back from Howell.
No, I'm saying, I don't know that.
No, it doesn't matter. Well,
Before we go into executive session, I am going to.
In your own time,
Yeah.
right? At your own.
And then in the morning, the girl goes back to push the wire CCC.
Reliable, dependable, and they were there.
And it all started last year when I picked her up from Kielbasa, when she lived at the mall.
I hope you're still doing that.
The last few weeks.
I hope you're still doing that.
And if she does, so put them.
Well, we want Celtics and Sixers games. I'll see it.
All right.
I'm gonna go to the ladies' room, I'll be back, because it probably be long now. You gonna take a little time? Okay. I'll be back, I gotta run to the ladies.
Yes.
I'll be there.
Yep, there you go. The budget, the interest budget won't be online.
Okay.
Probably tomorrow, I'm not sure. Maybe not.
Oh, let's look at it. And last thing, again, road traffic. Road.
Yeah.
Traffic light.
Yeah, it's been approved, it's in the federal grant system at this point. So it's making its way through the process. There's no way that, we don't know anything timeline.
Work for the Township of Lawrence. You know, so sit behind their desk, like you're always
You like that,
busy.
right? I just,
Yeah.
I'd laser around.
Yeah.